Greetings, fellow shinobi, and welcome back to Boruto on Duuz-Diz-Din. And last time, Boruto and Kawaki have been tasked with a monstrous mission to cohabitate with Ada, who is trying to ally with the Hidden Leaf Village in an effort to get closer to Kawaki, with Boruto himself essentially being an overglorified chaperone. Why these two? Because they are partially Otsutsuki now, the only people whose Ada's ability of mass infatuation has no bearing on. Yes, it's true. Anyone who catches Ada's glance, or even fully sees her, falls head over heels, madly in love. Emphasis on the mad. And through some quick thinking by Amado, he was able to get Shikamaru to agree to this cohabitation. Essentially, 3 weapons of mass destruction all living in the same house. And as Ada arrived, naturally pandemonium ensued. Chocho, Inojin, and even Mitsuki all fall head over heels with Ada with just but a glance, with only Shikadai and Sarada not getting caught up with it. Potentially because they didn't get a clear look at her. Maybe it's something else. It would be interesting if it was. Even Konohamaru caught another L just by glancing at her. Speaking of L's, Damon decided to establish the hierarchy of things by swiftly beating both Boruto and Kawaki's asses, handing it to them promptly. Needless to say, this cohabitation is off to a bit of a rough start, as nobody but Amon was actually fully aware of Damon's existence. So the 3 have become 4, all incredibly powerful in their own right, all incredibly deadly. And should this cohabitation not work out, who knows what kind of terror Ada could lay upon the land of fire and the world beyond. Not to forget Code, with him taking pieces of the Ten Tails and turning them into his personal minion. He's still out there. There's no telling when he'll strike and fulfill his vendetta against the Hidden Leaf. What'll happen next? Join me as I find out. Won't you? Alright. Boruto, Naruto Next Generations, number 75. The Domain of God. That is a pretty dramatic title, especially next to Damon with his candy-colored drip going on here. But regardless, let's jump in. Okay, I wasn't able to tell who was talking, but I guess it's the conversation between Shikamaru and Naruto trying to get some information from Amado in regards to both Ada and Damon. Alright, here's the rundown. Ada enchants all regardless of gender. Only blood relatives and Otsutsuki aren't affected, meaning it doesn't work on Boruto, Kawaki, and her little brother Damon. Plus, her left eye's Sharingan allows her to peek in on all things happening across this world. She can also hear conversations as if she were actually there. It also lets her browse past events, though she can't see anything that took place prior to her birth. So for now, she can only go back 16 okay, I guess. You know what, I shouldn't be that surprised, since she's interested in Kawaki, and what is he, like 14, 15? So a couple years age difference. Ikemoto, you have a weird obsession with legs, specifically young girls' legs. I mean, I'm just saying, the way he draws them, his interests are very clear. Now I have to feel guilty about, I'm not gonna get into that. Moving on. I mean, she just has really nice legs. No, stop. This is gonna come back to haunt you. Alright, moving on. As for her brother Damon, he reflects all attacks. Any action that would inflict harm on him, and though it's necessary for his hand to be touching another person, his ability will also transfer to the person currently touching him. Shikamaru tells Naruto, that's everything in a nutshell. Naruto says, what a crazy list of ability. It makes my head hurt. Amado continues, Damon is an irritating, pesky brat, but just be careful not to aim murderous intent towards him no matter what, because that too will be reflected. It depends on certain conditions, but it will all rebound back to you. Okay, so a few of us were confused because it felt like initially the conditions for Damon's reflect, it was just any kind of murderous intent. And then it seemed like it was changed to he has to be touching someone, or someone has to be touching him. But they're essentially saying, oh no, it's both. It's literally both. Essentially, don't even look at the kid. Just don't even think in his direction, which I have to wonder how to get around that. These are some broken ass abilities. And I guess Boruto and Kawaki were listening in on this? I think? God, I don't remember them listening in on this last chapter. But Boruto, in the villa that they're at, says, "What? Okay, now you lost me." Damon smiles at him and says, "Wanna test it?" Boruto's shocked and says, nah, no thanks. But Kawaki, he thinks in Damon's general direction, and suddenly he's smacked in the head by nothing at all. Boruto just like, what? As Kawaki rubs his face and says, "Looks like it's legit, Boruto, as you just saw." Boruto says, "You really imagine clobbering him?" And Damon just hoots and hollers, saying, "Is something wrong with your head? That ain't normal." But Ada doesn't really say much of anything. Honestly, now that I think about it, she does have a very young face. It's just... See, now the nature of this feels creepy, though. Because it's just like, all these adults lusting over a 16-year-old. Ugh! Now that you've highlighted her age, this just feels creepy. It was one thing when I was like, okay, maybe she's 18, but now that I know she's 16, it's just like, ew, ew, ew. But I guess that's my fault for assuming. But Naruto says, "I've been wondering, Amado, how the heck did you develop so many unbelievable abilities?" Yeah, no shit. That's $1 million question right there. Amado says, "Develop wouldn't be accurate. I am a mere human, not a god. The crafting of abilities is a feat permitted only to the gods. What I did is simply transplant things that already existed." So who had these abilities before? Shikamaru questions, "Transplant. Explain that." Amado takes a drag of his cigarette like a badass and says, "Yeah, their abilities were brought about by a god." I love the way he says that. Someone who actually evolved into a godlike being. Otsutsuki Shibai? Who? Naruto and Shikamaru says, "Otsutsuki Shibai?" And Kawaki repeats, "Otsutsuki." Shikamaru asks, "Who is this Otsutsuki Shibai? Where are they?" Amado says, "Don't worry, he is no longer with us. All that exists are his remains." You say that, but I'm just saying. You say all that exists are his remains. You need to burn those remains. You need to burn all that. Boruto questions, "His remains?" Amado says, "Do you remember what I told about how the chakra fruit that forms from absorbing all life on a planet is a mass of colossal energy and genetic information?" Basically showing that this section of Naruto / Boruto is essentially just a mixture of the Saiyan Saga and Tree of Might from Dragon Ball. You can't convince me otherwise. Though I think those were based off of something else, but it's the obvious stuff. Amado says, "And that Otsutsukis are a species that evolved through devouring those fruit. By repeatedly undergoing karmic resurrection, Shibai cheated death, devoured many fruits over several millennia, and eventually the cumulative evolution led to godhood." God damn! But, I mean, that's the thing about a lot of the Otsutskis. We kind of just call them gods because they're stupid powerful. Like, every Otsutsuki is dumb powerful. That's the one consistent thing that's gone on throughout this series. It's just like, you fuck with an Otsutsuki, it's just like, you better bring the best of the best, because it's just like, there's gonna be some shit. And Boruto's stunned, saying, "Godhood, huh?" Kawaki says nothing. Naruto says, "Setting aside possible godhood, let's go back to the original topic. You're saying there's these very cheat-like powers of Ada and Damon are originally abilities that this Shibai fellow possessed?" Amado says, "That's right. Transplanting DNA harvested from Shibai's remains resulted in the endowing of one or more of his abilities." Damn. Shikamaru then says, "You there, Katatsuki? Is what he's saying technologically possible?" I mean, dude, we've seen that. We've literally seen that over the course of the series. Isn't that essentially how Nagato got his powers? Because essentially, he didn't originally have the Renengan, he was given the Renengan. Hell, we've seen it with Kakashi. In fact, by saying that, you have essentially told us these aren't Naruto and Sasuke got towards the end of Naruto, and hell, even with them at the highest height of their power, just pulling out all the stops is just like, yeah, you gotta believe it. We've seen how high the most empowered of mortals could get, and we've seen how absolutely insane the abilities of Otsutsuki's could be. I mean, even Kaguya was stupid powerful, with how she just casually opened rifts to other dimensions, like, what? Amado says, given the name Shinjutsu, such godlike abilities were neither ninjutsu nor sage art. They were phenomena equivalent to divine miracle. Damn, that's some hype-ass shit. Okay, so that's essentially what we're building to. It's just like, man, you thought where Naruto and Sasuke were at the end of Naruto were some shit. You about to see that Shinjutsu bullshit. Naruto repeats Shinjutsu. Boruto just looks gobsmacked, and Ada, she looks kind of disinterested if I'm being honest. Amado continues. In addition to Ada and Damon's abilities, Kodes' claw marks are also Shinjutsu, as are the Sukuna Hikona and Daikokuten that Kawaki inherited from Ishiki. Okay. And the immortality art that enables resurrection, karma. Oh, so they're all connected. I guess that does make a little bit of sense because all of these abilities just activate on their own. And even things like the Renningon and Sharingan, Byakugan, all the Gons take at least a bit of effort to do, but when it comes to these Shinjutsu techniques, they're kind of effortless. Kind of feels broken, but I guess that's the... and concentrating one's chakra. So essentially, ninjutsu is the pale imitation of shinjutsu. Like, what was that one meme? Behold, how they attempt to replicate even a fraction of our power. I guess Sarada and Mitsuki are listening in on this too, as Sarada chimes in saying, with all due respect, are you saying our ninjutsu are nothing more than a pale imitation of these shinjutsu? Yeah, I mean, no, that's about it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's exactly what he's saying. Boruto calls out, Sarada. Amado says, did I offend you? I'm simply stating fact. Shikamaru says, putting aside the necessity of that, I think I do know pretty well that the Otsutsuki's technological capabilities far exceed our own. And I've got a question. With karma resurrection, he ought to live forever. So why is he a corpse? Or did someone kill Shiba? That is a very good question. Amano simply says, I don't know what really happened. It's certainly possible that he was killed, but what if after many cycles of evolution, he ascended to a higher dimension where a physical body isn't required? The fuck? Bruh. Bruh. He ascended beyond his body. It's just like, is he a ghost? Okay. Amado says, if no body is needed, neither are resurrection nor vessels. It's a hypothesis that Shibai deliberately discarded his body. So he ascended so far that it was just like, physical form so passe. It's all about the spirit. Freaking insane, man. Shikamaru simply says, I see. Like, do you? On one hand, it sounds like crazy talk, but if a god is meant to be a flawless being, that theory does have some merit. I mean, yeah, I guess. The human body in and of itself is flawed. Huh. And Naruto's just like, right. Naruto's just like, this is some philosophical bullshit. And even Boruto's just like, hey, what are we talking about? I feel like we've lost the plot a little bit. Oda says, apologies, I got sidetracked. What I'm trying to say is that Otsutsuki power contains hope? That does not feel like what you were trying to say. To make what is impossible to us possible. Jeez. Such as bring my daughter back to life. Huh. So that is why you did all this. Okay, we're cutting away over to where Sarada and Mitsuki are, and Sarada says, bring his daughter back to life. Only for Delta to arrive on the scene, much to Sarada's surprise, And she says, Delta, you shouldn't be here. And Delta, who is still jonesing for some Ada, says, I know, but I really wanted to see Ada. Don't tell Shikamaru, okay? Sarada says, no way. Besides, the Sentry unit will detect you right away. Delta says, at least I didn't show up over there. Just let me look at her. Sarada says, no, you're particularly susceptible. Come on, I'm gonna get in trouble. I never thought that this Delta and Sarada would have this kind of relationship. It's kind of wild, as Delta's just begging, please, just a few minutes, I'll stay right here, please, pretty please. But Sumire comes running up saying, Delta, time to go to sleep, and she just shuts down. I guess that's really to show that for some, once they are infatuated with Ada, it does not just up and go away. For the most part, it seems like Shikamaru kind of shook it off, but for some people, they're just gobsmacked by her. Sarada, shocked, and says her emergency shutdown code. Sumire comes up breathing heavily saying, I'm so sorry, she just flew off. I haven't run like this in ages. Come on, Sumire, you need to work out more. I know you're not like a ninja nowadays, but that's no excuse to shirk on your training. You've seen how much efforts researchers have had to do in this universe. Mitsuki simply smiles and says, poor class rep. Sumire says she's not supposed to be able to disobey either Dr. Katsuki or me. Her program needs to be checked. Mitsuki simply says, that's how strong Ida's charm is. I need to be careful too. Sarada says, I guess her ability is a lot more fearsome than I thought. Alright, so Amado's daughter. Who is it? Is she full on dead? Is she modeled off of someone? Is it Delta? It'd be weird if it was Delta. Shikamaru says, bring your dead daughter back to life. Naruto says, you did mention before that your daughter died 12 years ago. Boruto says, 12 years ago? That was around when I was born. Amado explains, my daughter, Akibe, suffered from a terrible disease. And we see a flashback of his daughter and him doing what he had to in order to preserve her or whatever. His narration says, it was an unknown cause. No drug or cure was effective. It was a fatal illness that doctors had given up on. But I didn't rail against them, because I had already discovered a way to resolve the situation. And we see him working on something saying, I'd make her a new body via cloning. I didn't care about the ethics anymore. It seemed logical to give her a totally new shell rather than fix up a defective product. After all, this was a field that I'd long tinkered in. The bar was significantly easier to clear than developing new meds. Akibe died a short time later. Yet it wasn't sad. At least not at that point. I plugged away in a race against time. I preserved Akibe's brain and succeeded in extracting, digitizing, and creating a backup of her memory. About 9 months after my daughter's death, she was abruptly completed. She had Akibe's voice, her exact appearance, plus her memory. And there we see Delta saying, as he says, but she was a total stranger. She definitely retained Akibe's memories in full. Yet she wasn't Akibe. It wasn't just her personality, her humanity. It's difficult to explain, but it seems a human's consciousness is more than just an aggregation of memory. I kept remaking her, but each time she was someone other than Akibe. Even if I could create a new person, it just was not possible to reproduce one who'd existed before. I realized that this was the domain of God, a world that humans were not meant to step into. Jeez. That's really kind of sad. Holy crap. But yeah, that's the thing about a clone is, just because they have the memories, they could be that person, but they could also not be that person. Also, Delta is modeled after a 12-year-old girl. And you give me this image of her in nothing but a sheet. Come on, man! I know I make it worse by dwelling on it, but it's just the implications making me just feel like, do I need to be looking out for the FBI or something? Oh, man. Amado continues saying, and it finally hit me that my daughter no longer existed. That's when he appeared. And then we see the body of Jigen containing Ishiki Otsutsuki behind the distraught Amado. Amado continues saying, he said he'd reunite me with her if I assisted him. Naruto says, and that was Jigen, as in Otsutsuki Ishiki, huh? Amado says, when his objectives were achieved, he'd reward me by reviving my daughter. That was the deal. I aligned with Kara as a last hope, not knowing that his goal, the chakra fruit, would come at the cost of the planet's life. Shikamaru says, fulfill Kara's mission and get your daughter back, but the planet would die. What an untenable decision. Yeah, it's just like, you get your daughter back and then the world just goes... It's like, what is the point then? Naruto says, so you gave your daughter up and decided to take Ishiki down? Amado says, I was prepared to do anything for her, but what's the point if there's no planet to live on? Don't get me wrong though, I haven't given up on my daughter at all. Jigen never specified how he was planning to revive my daughter. It's even possible he may not have ever intended to do so. But as I worked toward taking him down, I discerned the mechanism of karmic resurrection. Ah, okay. That's the last linchpin. Seeing if he can somehow take all the data he has on his daughter, put it into a karma, put that karma into one of the... I can't believe I'm gonna say this in a Boruto series, but we've come this far. A cloned android version of his daughter, his dead daughter. Oh man, you think all the stuff with Orochimaru would have prepared me for this, but man, I feel like we crossed some thresholds like a few miles back. Amado says, it's what Ishiki was trying to do through vessels, and my attempt to reproduce Akibe using a clone was almost identical. I feel like he might try that with Sumire though. Like try to transplant her mind into Sumire. That would be messed up. But who knows? Oda says, my failed efforts at reproducing personality, which crossed into the domain of God, was possible only with the miracle of godly power. The Shinjutsu Karma. Sumire says, now I get it. What Mr. Amado was planning to use Kawaki's karma for. Sarda looks over at Delta with that news and just... like... it goes from, oh, it's that thing Delta to, oh boy! That is a lot to unpack, buddy. Amado continues, I added Akibe's data to Kawaki's reconstructed karma. All Kawaki has to do is implant karma into a new clone body that I'll prepare. That should be enough to revive Akibe. Huh. Boruto leans over to Kawaki and says, you know, I totally thought Mr. Amado was plotting something a lot worse. Kawaki has a face like, yeah, he might still be. Or it might just be that he doesn't like how he's being essentially used. But Shikamaru says, Ada. Ada says, yes, Shikadie. Shikamaru says, I can't trust Amado's tale, including whether he even really had a daughter or not. I want proof. Can you check with your Senringan? Amado says, how dare. Even Naruto looks over and says, hey, Shikamaru, don't you think that's a bit much? Shikamaru simply says, I'm just making sure. Don't take offense, Amado. This is my job. I do love... See, here's the thing. I really love the interactions between Ada and Shikamaru. Like, it kind of stops there. They have a weird chemistry. Like, it's not like I'm shipping them. No. I mean, that would be weird. But there is a weirdly awesome chemistry going on there that I kind of just like. Ada chuckles to herself a little and says, you've got quite the awful personality, Shika dear, but I kind of like it. Shikamaru says, good to hear. Now, if you would. Even Boruto's like, whoa, that's harsh, Uncle Shikamaru. And suddenly a voice calls out to Boruto saying, hey boy, react if you can hear me. Boruto says, what? The voice says, yeah. I was wondering why your petty thoughts were suddenly available to me, but this confirms it. And Boruto realizes the voice, Momoshiki. He thinks to himself, hey, what's going on? There is a lot going on in this chapter. This chapter is dense with information. Momoshiki says, a new effect that apparently arose from having supplemented some of your damaged flesh with my data. It seems our thoughts are crossing over. Boruto says, this isn't mind transfer jutsu. Momoshiki's thoughts are echoing inside my head. Momoshiki says, gah, it's It is grating, but never mind. Just don't let Kawaki catch on. I'd rather not tangle with him again. Momoshiki tells Boruto about what Amado just said. There's something off about it. Boruto thinks, you distrust him too? Just like Shikamaru? Then again, the whole part about gods and Shibai was sounding real shady to me. Momoshiki simply says, sorry, but the Shibai part is true. He was an Otsutsuki who, as Amado correctly guessed, is no longer in this dimension. He's in the next dimension! More Dragon Ball references! Boruto thinks, what? For real? Momoshiki tells him, the same with Shinjutsu. I too have observed this plane a long time, and have an intimate understanding of all extant Shinjutsu. All extent? Okay. Boruto says, then you're saying he's lying about his daughter? Momoshiki says, who knows? I have no knowledge of that. It is Ada's ability that is bothering. What? How so? Boruto questions this, and Momoshiki says, Amado asserted that Ada's abilities are Shinjutsu, and her Senringan is certainly so. However, that love charm power cannot be. I mean, I kind of figured. Like, he kind of didn't say directly that the love charm ability was Senringan. I mean, Shinjutsu. It's like, something about that ability just feels like, doesn't feel like that's part of the Shinjutsu. So I can believe that. But what is it? Why does she have this power? Boruto says, so what of it? Like, dude, come on! How are you not curious? Momoshiki simply says, as I said just now, I know all Shinjutsu, but I have never heard of such an ability. In short, it is possible that Amado is lying. I mean, isn't it possible he just isn't aware? Isn't it possible he's just chalking that up to Shinjutsu? Naruto says to him, what are you saying? That it's a type of scientific ninja tool or something? Plus, why would he need to lie about that? That's also a good question. Why lie about that? Another mystery about Ada deepens. Momoshiki simply says, indeed, that is what raises the question. Man, all parties, all on the same page. I kinda actually love this. Ada finishes her search and says, it was only a quick peek, but Amado's daughter, Sanzu Akibe, did exist. She died when she was 24. Oh, thank God. Whew. Okay. Delta is based off of a 24-year-old dead girl. That is still not good, but you know what? 24 years old, based off a 24-year-old person? Technically, the clones are probably technically to a... you know what? This train of thought is creepy. Let's continue. Ada says, at the very least, those events he told us about were all true. Happy now? Shimaro says, thank you, Ada. I appreciate your help. Amado says, hey now, that's it? You question my honesty and have nothing else to say? Shikamaru simply says, I'm just doing my job. The reason for my distrust lies with you. Don't pretend you're innocent while criticizing others. Amado does respond, while Boruto's going through his own situation, saying, and what about our situation? How long will we be linked? Momoshiki says, it's not as if I want to be doing this either. Our thoughts are leaking to each other against our will. Boruto says, easy for you to say. You better not be trying to trick me. Momoshiki says, babble away. I, for one, hope it will be brief. Boruto says, you know, but suddenly, did Boruto's Jogan just activate? Is he seeing the future? But the Jogan doesn't let you see the future, right? I thought the Jogan didn't. I thought the Jogan just saw and predicted certain things because it saw the flow of chakra. You see a flash of the monument, the Hokage monument. You see Leaf Ninja running around saying, you find him? He couldn't have gotten that far yet. Don't let him escape. You then see Shikadai, Chocho, and Inojin. As Shikadai says, that just ain't what a friend does. You hear? Kind of feels like they're saying that to Kawaki. You see Sarada running saying, Mitsuki, found him, over here. And then you see Mitsuki in his sage mode saying, you have managed to truly anger me. And then you see Kawaki with his full-on scientific ninja tool arm and karma activated form, and it looks like he's blood splatter on his face. I don't know, it kind of feels like Kawaki did something. Boruto is shaken as he thinks, what was that? But Momoshiki doesn't say anything, and Ada looks over into Boruto's direction. Dang! Honestly, this is the moment I knew was coming, though. The moment we said that Ada was coming to the Leaf Village, it was just like, okay, I think we're about to get a lot of exposition, and we got a lot of exposition, a lot of answers, but a ton more mystery. What is the nature of Ada's infatuation ability? What does it mean that Momoshiki and Boruto seem to be merging more and more and more? Was this the first manga appearance of the Jogan? I think it was. I mean, I remember, because I've loosely seen a few episodes of the Boruto anime, but I thought the Jogan just allowed you to see, like, chakra paths so you could, like, maybe predict where an enemy was attacking or stuff like that. But full-on future sight? I'm actually glad that Shikidai, Chocho, and Inujin are actually going to be involved with something in the future. Whatever's coming up next, it's gonna get a lot of the kids involved, but it's odd that we didn't see Ada or Damon. Are they just chilling out at the house? And Delta is modeled after Amon's dead daughter. Dang. Wouldn't it be funny if he does manage to get his daughter fully resurrected thanks to Kawaki using the karma, only for her to still act like the Delta we've known up until now? Kind of an ass. It would be hilarious. I think, honestly, if I had to say, if Kawaki were to kill something, I think it would be Amado. I honestly think it would be Amado. Because that's what it feels like, the path that's going. Kawaki's gonna kill somebody. And I think it's just gonna be Amado. Because he's pissed off that Amado was trying to use him to, further his own goals. He doesn't care that dude was trying to bring back his daughter. I'm still wondering if Kashin Koji is ever going to come back into the picture. It does kind of explain why he's, being a Jiraiya clone, but while he does have a lot of the abilities, some of the mannerisms and stuff like that, it's not like, it's not just Jiraiya, But this ability, Shinjutsu, and essentially the Otsutsuki god Shibai, who transcended the physical realm, But, I mean, this is the direction that makes a lot of sense. Ever since the end of Naruto, the Otsutsuki are the big selling point. If we did not go further into more Otsutsuki lore, abilities, history, hell, I'm surprised we haven't at this point referenced where the Otsutsuki, originate from or stuff like that. What initially set them on this path of essentially doing the plot of Tree of Might and just going from world to world, planting chakra trees, eating the chakra fruit, destroying the planet, and GTing the FO. Like, how did this way of life come about? That's my question. And if Otsutsuki Shibai was able to, I guess, eat enough fruit and stuff to transcend the physical realm, how many planets did he destroy in the process? Man, we're going in an interesting direction. I'm kind of hyped for it. It feels like we're really about to lead into some awesome stuff, but that's what I felt was happening. Some people were just like, oh no, it's moving too slow. It's like, no, this feels like we're setting up for something grander on the horizon. It's like, I could have been wrong, but at the same time, I'm just like, Code forming an army, this alliance of all these characters. I mean, yeah, Ada could eventually turn on them, but it feels like having Ada here feels like if you have to have Ada present, something big is going to go down in the future. Like, we got our answers, then we got more mysteries to draw you into what is the next arc going forward. But I'm definitely interested. So a lot of these abilities are Otsutsuki based. I mean, to a degree, doesn't that kind of make Damon and Ada partially Otsutsuki as well? Or is it just purely the ability? Well, let me know your thoughts and theories in the comment section below. But also remember to like, subscribe, bell, all that good YouTube stuff, or don't. I ain't your daddy, but I still love you like one. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I hope to see you in the next video. Till then, bye-bye.